than for a real support player that has already played all of support. So I really wonder what the original plan was.
Well, let's take a look at the Battleground pool again and see where we'll be going and what maybe the plan will be for SPT in this game. Soul Torturers having the win means SPT gets to choose if they want first pick or Battleground choice. They have chosen first pick, ST choosing Tomb of the Spider Queen.
I think that's dangerous now. Since Soul Torturers, they can really start the early pressure and with a good draft try and get the snowball going with a double turn in around level 10. If they get that, I think this could be a very short game.
I feel like, though, on another token, though, Tomb of the Spider Queen is a map where 005 is going to get the least value out of his split pressure we see him do. The Malthael he even used to get split pressure done on Sky Temple. Also the Dahaka play that they've been drafting a lot. So a little bit surprising of a pick to me. Sure, they're very strong in the early game, but their macro play, I feel like, is where they're really shining in this best of 3. So I'm a little bit surprised. Thought maybe we'd see Cursed Hollow, for example.
I think for them it's, I mean, I'm trying to get, of course, like in their mindset right now, but I really believe that with what they're up against, they just want to apply a lot of pressure and make the opponent crap. Because I agree with you. I think on a big map, they could play the macro card a lot harder. But Tomb is for me always when you feel that you can, in the early game, with the draft, snowball much harder, achieve a lot. And Super Perfect team with the setup they have right now seem to just crack under pressure. And I think this is something that Soul Torturers try to abuse.
Any chance we see Ariel make it through the draft?
Don't think so.
I don't think so either. She shouldn't, especially not here.
Well, here we are, game number 2, and the tournament lives of Super Perfect Team are on the line. Lose this game, and they will be eliminated, making CE the only remaining Chinese team at this event.
A lot of pressure on the Soul Torturers as well because, you know, Super Perfect Team coming in very highly seeded #1 in GHL. And it's funny because Soul Torturers comes in as the replacement for E-Star, which didn't actually have the top spot in China. So for them to actually defeat Super Perfect Team here, even if you're a Chinese Heroes fan, it feels like the replacement lives up to the name of E-Star, at least so far.
Yeah.
It's a weird way to put it, right? But it's like in terms of skill and defeating the #1 seed that had a better score than E-Star, it feels like, okay, Soul Torture's a worthy replacement.
I never looked at it from that point of view, but you can make that argument for sure. But what we see here, coming back to the draft, Stitches picked first. And I like Stitches for Super Perfect Team. The priority here is awesome. All of the teams agree that Stitches is fantastic, and Tomb of the Spider Queen is one of his best maps. So
yeah, if they have to choose this now because of Simba, then it's not at all a bad way to go because of his wave clear, the ability that he can bring to SPT to be able to get some picks, hopefully against ST, make sure that that snowballing that you mentioned, Kaldor, does not happen.
What surprised me in the few, or not in this series in particular, but in a few games that we have seen over the course of the day is that so far the teams don't really punish a lack of wave clear. So on this map, if you can actually identify that on an opponent and try and abuse it, you can make a lot happen. But at this point, the Soul Torturers don't really care about that too much. They're going straight into a hyper-aggressive comp again. There's the Illidan, there's the Tacita. Especially Tacita excels on the map. Illidan is played a lot more now in Tomb. Comes online more so in the mid game when the forts are already down and the distance to safety is longer, but he can have a massive impact on this.
I mean, there was definitely a chance we were going to see something that Soul Torturers would have done more often previous to this game, like the Dahaka coming out again, even though it's a smaller map, still the split pressure. Uther Greymane was another option, is to just take the team fight to the highest level, take that extra wave clear. We are going to see Arthas, which has been the response from the Chinese teams consistently throughout day 1 here to the Illidan pick. Coming out already. Does have some synergy with the Stitches hooks, obviously. If you could hit the Howling Blast, it's not as good as some other follow-ups, but there's some synergy there as well. And you've already set up your front line. You've set up the tanks when Illidan is going to be diving in, and it is going to be the Greymane denial pick here as well.
I think the adaptation is beautiful for SPT, that they're able to get a lot of wave clear here. They put Simba on Stitches where he feels very comfortable. They still get Misaka on a hero where he feels very confident, and that's Arthas. And they even get Greymane, a hero that has worked very well for them in the past. I think that's a perfect 3 picks for them on this potentially final game.
For the situation that they are in, having to cater to a replacement player, yeah, I think this is actually a really good move. At the same time, it has definitely a few things that you could abuse. It actually surprises me that right now the Soul Torturers are looking at a potential ban on Lunara, since I think with what they are trying to do and what they're up against here, it would fit really well for them. The level 7 against this much melee is insane. You have good wave clear for the map. The poke is incredible. Illidan can provide the space that you need. So that's an interesting ban on there.
Sure. I mean, it's also that it's not really a combo that works well with what Super Perfect Team has. I mean, sure, you could draft it against the Illidan. We have seen teams do it because it's so strong against the evasion, but a bit surprising of a ban here, to be honest.
The one argument that I can make for Lunara on the side of Super Perfect Team is that with Arthas, you already have a lot of slow. With Stitches, you gain even more, especially if you opt to go into Puric Bile. So you could go into unfair advantage of Lunara, which was in the past a really strong comp. But
well, just more puzzling bans here with the Kael'thas coming out as well.
Banned by the Stitches team.
Yeah, you would think that it's like, okay, well, we'd have Lunara, so let's ban that away from ourselves. Let's ban the Kael'thas away from ourselves here. I mean, Kael'thas is good at denying turn-ins, and he's got good poke. And obviously, he does synergize with the grab there, but wrong side.
The infamous Illidan and Kael'thas combo. Okay, really a bit surprising. So we would obviously have expected the Lunara ban, if so, on the side of Super Perfect Team, and the Kael'thas ban, if at all, from Soul Torturer, so that after a hook you don't have the additional lockdown with the Gravity Lab.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm a little bit surprised what's going on.
This must be some sort of weird something that these teams have learned from scrimming against each other or something that we just simply don't understand. But as it stands, the Kael'thas ban doesn't help Super Perfect Team at all because now they've got the Uther, they've got the Volip for both protection against Illidan and the synergy with Tassadar there.
I mean, on the side of Soul Torturers banning Lunara because you already plan to head into Vala and just trying to deny one from the range damage dealers, granted, there is some logic to that. I would have more loved to go into Lunara on there, and especially now that we're also seeing Cassia. I mean, how much more melee heroes do you want to get the value out of your Splintered Spear?
You know, we talked about the Eastern versus the Western meta and the subtle differences that we see in between the two, and Cassia does seem to be popping up more and more here in the Eastern meta. Obviously, Western teams will ban her, especially versus an Illidan, but seeing a lot of that even more so in the Eastern teams, especially in Korea.
I mean, you'd have to guess that the last pick here for Soul Torturers is either going to be the Anub'arak or the Muradin. The Muradin gives you a lot of, you know, escapability, good mobility, etc. Doesn't really pair with anything else. The Anub'arak can be very strong. You dive in, you have so much different CCs to deal with the Cassia, especially the Greymane that are coming in. The Cocoon for Rhaegar to prevent that heal.
Tyrael?
Tyrael also strong with the Tassadar, the Illidan. It's kind of all in. I was wondering about the ETC only because of Skrull, and this was his best map historically for the ETC when you don't consider the global effect, which was, again, one of the things he was most famous for, but in the early game, this comp is terrifying now.
Potential holy cow?
Yeah, it could be the holy cow here. The Divine Shield in the Mosh Pit, that would get so much value if you get a good slide. But I mean, there's a lot that they can definitely do with this, and I feel, especially in the late game, they have so many options here. If Vala opts into the Frost Shot, the control you get over this melee-heavy setup that Super Perfect Team is running. But there's a lot of risk to it, too. If Illidan dives in a little bit too early, one Howling Blast and the Cassia going ham on you is all that they need to get that early kill.
Also, Cassia's level 20 does allow her auto attacks to ignore armor, and against both ETC and Uther, that could be a tough spot for Soul Torturers. We'll have to see if SPT can get to that point as we get ready for game number 2.
Indeed, so SPT has Jin Zhao on the Cassia, Wings on Arthas, Misaka on the Greymane, Simba on Stitches, and ZZH, of course, on Rhaegar here on blue side for potentially their last life in the tournament.
And in the red, Soul Torturers from Taiwan, God Dog playing Vala, Cucumber on Tassadar, Zola playing Uther, Skrull on ETC, and 005 playing Illidan.
Let's see which one of these two teams gets the better end of the early game, because there's a lot of CC on both sides, but I feel like it's kind of a game of chicken in one regard, especially for Skrull. If he decides to go in and is unsuccessful in getting that pick, there's so many different ways to counter-wise stun him there. Of course, with the Arthas Howling Blast, the hooks that we can see, already the trust there coming out from Arthas for the grab there for the double stun, but Skrull does dodge. So this early game, I think, is going to really define who gets the lead and when we return ends, because it's going to be picks, which means better carries for gems, better possession, and then obviously the better wave clear leads to the turrets running out of ammo, which can make those web weavers so strong. Here's already a great power slide here. Wings finds us up on the bad end of it, unfortunately. The body blocks here from Skrull are so good, the face mount there as well, and even though it's not a kill, it will force Wings to tap.
Yeah, the body blocks can be really hard versus Arthas when he has those slows on you that get more and more. And finally, Wings was able to get out his Wings on Arthas. So Misaka going back to the damage role for the team. We'll see how that works for them, but I've seen Xin Xiao's Cassia before can be very deadly, especially versus the auto attackers that we have. If Illidan goes in, hunts in, and potentially even an inner light at level 4, there can be a few seconds where he's blinded, and in that turnaround time with the lockdown and the slows of Arthas, take him down.
Yeah, it makes the trade so difficult as well. I think this was a risky move by Skrull. He didn't have vision on the other side of that vent, and it looks like he will be taken out here. ZZH will actually grab the kill there. Zola is also in trouble. You know, this is what we talked about, Power Slide being a double-edged sword against this composition. Great dimensional shift there by Cucumber, but it's a double-edged sword when you Power Slide in like that. You don't have vision, you don't see other members in the lane, then suddenly you find yourself chain stunned and blown up. So first blood will go to Super Perfect Team, and that's why I said it's kind of a game of chicken, because the aggressor always has a disadvantage if you don't get that initial pick.
Super Perfect Team has first blood here, but I think that even happened in the last game, and Soul Torturers were still able to come back once they got their heroic abilities and started beefing up toward the later game. It's all about, again, who can get the first turn in, especially with Soul Torturers having a lot of damage already pushing the lanes. In that top lane, they've got Tassadar and Illidan doing a lot to that, and if they're able to secure the first turn in, maybe able to get a lot more because of it.
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of the trade-off was the neutral camp here taken by SPT versus the wall damage there and the extra wave for Soul Torturers, but ends up being a really relatively even exchange. Cucumber going to dodge yet another Howling Blast. This guy has really made the Arthas pick in the early game look not so strong. Trying to bait him, it looks like, even into Skrull, but with no DPS there, he's not going to stick around. He's not going to try to force it. They will clean up these Giants, and again, Soul Torturers getting the better end of this. Xin Xiao also finds himself caught between a rock and a hard place here, but again, Skrull coming up very close.
Using that avoidance, and then the blind afterwards. It's Misaka who gets caught by 005. Power Slide afterward, and a double kill for Soul Torturers.
It was really risky there for a moment for Skrull to go that deep in, but they just knew exactly how to turn that fight there. I like how he's using his face melts, by the way, because sometimes you feel like the best way to use it is just immediately after the power slide, but he says, no, I want to make sure that you either collide with terrain, I get you in a place where I can body block you, or my teammates are there to catch you. I'm not just going to use it at the first possible moment to maximize how many times I use it in the fight, but just to make sure that the only time I use it is super valuable. So Skrull, again, a master of ETC, and I was worried about him going into this tournament because he's not meta anymore, but in this game, he's making it work.
Wolf, I have to reiterate the problem that SPT is under in this early game with the towers. The way Soul Torturers have been able to control the lanes does not bode well unless SPT can start getting more picks. But Dimensional Shift allows Cucumber to get back into the safety of his own towers. Meanwhile, SPT has not turned any gems yet, but Soul Torturers has. They understand that if they're able to get this first turn-in phase, as long as they don't lose anybody at it, they do lose Tass.
They will lose Tassadar here, and this might not be the only one they lose. ZZH is under fire. 005 wants him, but the hook here from Simba, showing he's not just a replacement here, but he's not going to be able to get the kill. 005 still wants it. They're going to win the exchange. No gems really lost here, even though they lost Tassadar. They were all recovered. But as you say, it seems like Super Perfect Team is more pick-oriented, whereas Soul Torturers are more lane-oriented. Another hook comes out. There's the friend or foe to escape. But the picks that we're seeing here, the pick attempts from Super Perfect Team, aren't really getting much value, whereas the wave clear and the gem turn-ins, because they're more lane-focused, is working out for Soul Torturers. And it was a very even game now until the Web Weaver summoned. Not only are they going to have the push towards those walls, but a lot of the turrets are low on ammo, as we were talking about, because of that lane pressure.
005 even held on to the minions to try to make sure that the Web Weaver could spawn as far as possible up in this top lane, although it does end up going into a bunch of minions for SPT, and SPT are eager to clear this out. Soul Torturers are making sure that they aren't abandoning any lanes, even though they did get some lane damage done to the towers. They want to make sure that they're keeping up the soak in all the lanes, since they are the ones who are getting closer and closer to heroic abilities.
Yeah, they want to have those heroics to get the double turn in. Very aggressive play, actually, up here with the top Web Weaver, and they're looking for Wings, who's very low on mana. If he keeps using that Tempest, he's going to find himself out of it, so immediately has to Hearth Home, which gives them more potential to keep using Illidan to pressure this top fort. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, as you can see here, just not enough range damage to actually stop this poke. When you have an ETC like this, it's tough for Cassia to hard engage, because she's going to find herself on the wrong side of a power slide if that happens. And again, big possession advantage to Super Perfect Team because they haven't turned in any. But that means that next fight, when 10 is reached for Soul Torturers, could mean they lose everything. As it looks like 005 is going to wait for the last minute deny here.
They hit it with 1W, but that does put 005 in a little bit of a tricky spot. Even still, Soul Torturers don't have heroic abilities yet. This is a risky place to fight. They lose their Uther.
Almost looked like they wanted to make the fight happen with the Uther heals to carry it. It was kind of a bait, right? He goes down, but the heals provided. They're going to make it a double here.
True.
And it was risky. It certainly was. But I feel like it was planned again. And this is what I'm talking about for Soul Torturers. They know this 5-man roster better. They can make plays like this that to the layman at first might seem like this is suicidal. Why is he going in? Illidan's the one who's going to deny this pick. You've got Avala. Where's the W coming out? Where are the shots coming out with the arrows? But it's actually Illidan who comes in to bait the fight. The heals come in, the armor, and then you have Uther's trait help carry the fight. This fight alone denies the turn-in, takes some of the gems away, about 20 or so from Super Perfect Team, and now they have Heroic. So Super Perfect Team is just going to have to let this go, and it's nearly going to be the back-to-back turn-in during this small window of time that Soul Torturers has that Heroic advantage.
Yeah, Soul Torturers are getting there. It's not quite there yet, and even still, they will need to turn in the gems that they have. SPT wanting to get heroic abilities so they can deny before the second turn-in phase happens, because that's an issue where you can start losing a lot of the forts, especially if the waves are pushed up well.
Yeah, and the goal is met. They get 10 before the turn-in, but this is going to be the big fight. Skrull actually commits to the mosh pit here. There's certainly some interrupts on the side of Super Perfect Team, but not as many as there were last time he played the ETC. When we were talking about the other Chinese series, looks like he wants to go in and potentially grab it now. There it is. Cleanse comes in. The hook is onto Skrull here, but actually it's Wings who's now isolated, doing a lot of slows, but not a lot of damage. Ends up taking a lot himself.
Misaka zoning away 005 from the rest. Wings still healing himself up with Army of the Dead. God Dog comes in from the side. Hunt as well. Ancestral healing connects in the nick of time for Xin Xiao. But even with the ancestral healing, Cassia goes down. It's a 1-for-1 as Tassadar drops, but losing Misaka should spell the end of this fight for SPT.
And I don't want to oversimplify these team fights, but it just feels like Super Perfect Team in a lot of ways has the better mechanical skill. We're seeing incredible plays with Misaka on the Greymane. He is going in, doing the maximum amount of damage possible. He's pushing the limits of what Greymane can accomplish. The Ancestrals are really good, but as a 5-man, a team that is this, it feels like a fist of 5 players, not an open palm, is what we're seeing from Soul Torturers. They work together as one, and what we're seeing from Super Perfect Team is 5 all-stars together that can't operate as a unit, and I feel like it's because of Simba. Thought that he himself is underperforming personally, but the 5 together, even with the stronger mechanical team, can't have the coordination to win these fights that Soul Torturers are bringing to the table. Even with Skrull on this ETC, his comfort pick hero, he's bringing it back, now used twice in this tournament, and it looks really strong, Gilly.
Yeah, the laning setup for Soul Torturers also looks very strong, Wolf, and how they have been able to set them up so the Web Weavers move right onto structures. They take out one fort. The Hunt's going to come in from 005. ZZH is way out of position here as that Rhaegar.
The coordination again, the Hunt and the power slide, the flank there was so good. Now the Divine Shield onto God Dog to get more and more value out of this. They didn't actually get the kill they were looking for, but still, you see the pick, you see ZZH is the target. It's clearly called out in comms, and they leap on it. The focus fire is good, and now they split off, as you said, back into lane. So Web Weaver in the bot lane, working now past that keep, going to the keep wall. They're going to get mid fort, and all the while, Illidan is pushing the top lane. They get so much out of just one simple pick, that one kill onto Rhaegar.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Soul Torturers just immediately rotate up to the top. The lane was already pushed there. They have the 13 advantage, but instead, being low on some of their resources, going to head back and allow Illidan to be able to get the mercenary camp, the bruisers in the mid. This will set them up so that they have a lot of vision, a lot of push over that mid lane, especially with the fort already being gone, and then maybe they can make a play for somewhere up toward the top or even try to collapse on some of SPT.
Yeah, it's just such a shame for SPT, just very few gems carried. They may never get a turn in this game if this game continues this way, and it goes back to what Caldor was saying in the map draft, you know? This is a team that starts to fall apart when they get nervous, when the coordination starts to fall away, and Soul Torturers have just basically snowballed this game now almost into the triple turn-in. 44 of 60 carried right now. They have this structure advantage, and the map pick starts to feel like it makes a lot more sense. Now that you've got the ETC here as well for Skrull, the picks coming in with the power slides and the hunts coming in from Illidan, that's kind of the way they're getting these picks to start the fights, which control the lanes, and they're just so close to that third back-to-back turn-in, Gilly.
Well, 13 and 16 are both going to be very good for Cassia as long as she can get there. She's got 13 now. So with True Sight, we'll be able to reduce the cooldown of her Blinding Light. And maybe those blinds will be enough to deal with the Illidan and the Vala at this point. Now with 13-2, you can see SPT immediately get aggressive. They know that this is one of their most opportune windows, hoping to get a fight to allow them back in this game.
Ooh, Simba's so aggressive. The Ancestral is good, but look at this. The dance coming out from Skrull. Simba is so incredibly low. Gets the heal, the self-heal here, but it's not going to be enough to save him. Zola is getting healed up now. He keeps himself alive, and Wings now desperately on the retreat. It's a 1-for-1, but make that a 2-for-1 as Wings will fall down here. Misaka, though, turns things around, and I think this is just another example of, again, the high mechanical skill for Super Perfect Team. The Ancestral there had to be perfect. Simba himself keeps himself alive. This could have been a disastrous fight. It could have been a wipe for Super Perfect Team, but they made those high-level plays. The Ancestral, for example, I think is really important here. But what happens when the dust settles is Soul Torturers has the better comp that can continue to push. They cleaned up cleaner at the end of the fight. They knew exactly how to transition away. It was planned from start to finish. They're the initiators. They're the team that are making the plays, and it feels like Super Perfect Team is only forced to react. And the longer the game goes on, that's never going to be a good thing.
Yeah, Illidan is a hero who can just go and go and go. And especially when he's enabled by somebody like a Tassadar, giving himself more life leech besides what he already has from Betrayer's Thirst. So Soul Torturers take down the final fort of SPT, getting 16 well ahead of SPT. And with 5 more gems, we'll be able to get the 3rd turn-in of the game.
I mean, Tassadar has got so much with this Ice Storm now in terms of delay. That they have 16. It's going to be very difficult for SPT to get a turn-in without a pick. The cleanse is immediate here onto God Dog. A good hook nonetheless, and now that cleanse is wasted, so you have to say it's still a win for SPT. They don't want to take a direct confrontation pre-16. It's just too risky at this stage. Unfortunately for them, though, that means they can't take any objectives, and it's Soul Torturers that can posture around. They have enough for a turn in here. And Super Perfect Team is, unfortunately for them, just going to have to accept that. They can't stop this turn in. It is going to go in. But if they lose a fight trying to deny it, they potentially lose the game with all forts down and keep walls damaged. So you have to respect the decision here for Super Perfect Team. Tournament life on the line. One of the representatives from China here, if they lose that fight, they're out of the tournament, so they have to play it safe.
Yeah, I've played it safe, but that enables Soul Torturers to get their next turn-in. Granted, this is all of the gems of Soul Torturers, so they are looking to make sure that they open up a way to win the game off of this turn-in. Ideally, 1 keep. They must get 1 keep at this point.
Yeah, that's the plan. As for Super Perfect Team, they just want to have the Miracle Hold. If they can keep all 3 keeps alive, stay even on talent tier, that's their way back into the game. They have all the comeback EXP, even though it's going to take a long time, to get those forts down to maybe rush to 21st. They need somehow the Miracle engage here. That Simba hook is not going to be it, though, as the wall is now falling down. The keeps are open. A little bit of split push from Illidan, actually, in the bot lane here as our observer pans down. It's Misaka who's trying to stop this from occurring, but all keep walls are down now, and time is ticking for Super Perfect Team. But it looks like with their really patient defense here, they might be able to keep all the keeps alive. But here comes Skrull.
Skrull throws Wings over, but a cleanse from ZZH. You have Seraph's Hymn and now Martial Law. So now Cassia's ready to strike with her damage. She can do a lot of damage to Skrull if he gets too far into a fight.
And they did it. They kept all 3 keeps alive.
They did.
That was the objective. Now, if they can manage to get a turn in here on even talent tiers, they can look to get the forts, the scaling at this stage in the game, the extra damage you talk about from Cassia that's very important. The level 16 is up for Greymane as well. The fishing hook here for Stitches. There's extra opportunities to get picks if they win the fight or if they just get the turn in. With the scaling of the Web Weavers now, getting the forts will be easy. They can push towards catching up in EXP, making sure that 20 doesn't wipe them out. All they needed was the defense on the keep to unlock this opportunity, and they've got it.
There's a power slide. Skrull being patient with his mosh pit, though. Divine Shield has been used from Soul Torturers for Vala, prompting to use the strafe. Skrull goes down with the mosh pit. It's a 2-man.
Oh, Wings gets the Ancestral, but the 2-man mosh removes so much of the damage here for Misaka, who now finds himself very low. Simba looks like he may be the first to fall in this fight, and this might be the last one for SPT, as Xin Zhao is barely alive, but 005 will get the pick here. Wings is going to be the last one to go down. They wanted that Miracle engage. They wanted to turn this around, stick around in this tournament, but this fight, of course, went all wrong for them. We saw great Ancestrals all game long from ZZH. The control of the mechanics and team fighting for Super Perfect Team. When things went wrong, you could see shimmers of brilliance really from each individual member. But the team that had the better coordination, the team that had the stronger draft for the map on their map pick is Soul Torturers, and they're going to take the 2-0 advance here. There's no one left to stop them from Super Perfect Team here as they rush down the core.
Illidan's on the core, Super Perfect Team, hoping to respawn in time, but it will be all for naught. Soul Torturers, the second Taiwanese team to make sure that they make it to day 2 of the Eastern Clash, take out Super Perfect Team.
There you have it, 14 kills to 6 there. A valiant effort from Super Perfect Team, but they fall just the same. And Calder, what do you think about that series?
I really think it was impressive from Soul Torturers there, and they dominated that series. And they always traded up. Even when they lost one of the heroes when they engaged, they always got 1 or 2 kills afterwards. We were talking, or you were mentioning the Uther, as he was basically baiting in that fight, dying, and then they just turned it around. So it was really impressively played, and we didn't see a single turn-in for the team in blue. So they never got any momentum. It was always the red team, was always Soul Torturers who took the initiative here and forced the fights.
Yeah, having Tassadar and Vala, those are 2 heroes who are great at being able to deny turn-ins. But the bigger issue was that Soul Torturers had the vision and capabilities, and especially because early on they started doing damage to towers. Once they got the first turn-in, they got an experience spike enough that they were able to delay long enough for them to get the second turn-in, and that's really where things started to fall apart for SPT, but open up for Soul Torturers.
In a few of the fights, not in all of them, but a few of the battles that we had in very narrow corridors, it also felt that they had a very rough time all getting onto a target, especially once that Greymane started to engage in Worgen form. All of a sudden you have 4 melee heroes that are attempting to go in, and they kind of body blocked themselves a few times. Yeah,
definitely so. And I think the snowball started, as Gilly said, when the first web return-in happened. They were so low on ammo, and everything started to bleed out from there. And it felt like there was just never any initiative from Super Perfect Team. They're always trying to take the defensive engagements when the dive came in, when Illidan was dashing in, and we saw really nice Ancestrals, good protection of Simba. But when the Ancestrals were going on to Simba, they were going on to Cassia, for example. Xin Zhao wasn't able to get the heals he needed to do that maximum damage. And it's sad to see Super Perfect Team fall again early in another Premier tournament, because this team, like I said, this is really like their 5th official roster, and they've been at so many international events as a representative for China, but they just can't leap over that next hurdle so far.
Yeah, I agree. SPT impressed me a whole lot in their regional, and I have high hopes that they will continue to do well in their regional. They're really phase 2 as they continue on through phase 2 and look toward the global championship. Let's check in with Trixler though, because we have some Soul Torturers to talk to.
I'm here with Zola from the Soul Torturers, and I'm gonna go ahead and ask a few questions. I know it's getting late, but you guys are here off of technicality, obviously with E-Star not coming in with the visa issues. You guys are here and you have a chance at redemption, and you've made it to Saturday. I just gotta ask, how does it feel?
他就是说，因为中国队那边他们有一位选手因为签证问题而没有来。那你们在这次败部复活赛中赢得了胜利，然后晋级到明天的比赛，那你对这个有什么感想？
就很开心，就是2队台湾都挺进下一队，就是挺进明天了，对。
He said he's very happy that both the Taiwan team has made it to the Saturday's tournament.
Awesome, very cool. And a fun one before we let you go and get some sleep. Are we gonna get a penguin this weekend?
Repeat that, please.
A penguin this weekend, one of his stuffed penguins.
Oh, he said, I'm sorry. 他说你会不会带你的企鹅来比赛明天？
我没有带来台北，所以没有企鹅。
He said he didn't bring his penguin to Taipei, so there will be no penguins.
Our hearts are broken, but congratulations on getting through. Good luck for tomorrow, and that's going to be it here at HGC Eastern Clash. Tomorrow, we have an exciting series.